Thank you. Back to you, Mohmad.
And today, our prominent figure of this club, she's going to take over the lead and the mastery of this meeting. She is none other than Ashwini Arondkar. She is the leader. In a very short time, she took over the leadership of her club in Mumbai. She is an elaborative and compassionate speaker. She spoke in many meetings of this club. So today, she is going to take over the challenging role of Toastmaster of the Day. Fellow leaders, please help me welcoming Ashwini Arondkar.
Thanks, Toastmaster Mohmad, for introducing me as Toastmaster of the Day. That's an honor, truly, which I believe. My dear Toastmasters and guests, the theme of being fully engaged as an individual is one that strikes at the very heart of our human existence. It calls upon us to embrace our inner selves and discover our true potential, to pursue our passions with purpose and determination, and to live each day with mindfulness and intentionality. In a world currently where it is constantly vying our attention with a lot of social media handles, it is very easy to become disengaged and distracted, to lose sight of what truly matters to us in life. But by choosing to be fully engaged, we unlock powerful source of energy and inspiration that can propel us towards our goals and dreams. And how we do that? For me, to be truly engaged is an activity that presents, that means that in this moment I'm present, and that what you're doing right now is also equally important for me to become content with the experience. There is no anxiousness of me to search what is going to be next, what is that going to happen in the future, and there is no regret for past. To make this meeting highly engaging, I would like to invite Toastmaster Hannah to raise the toast for today's meeting. Toastmaster Hannah, over to you. Quickly introduce Toastmaster Hannah. She's the current Sergeant at Arms at Leadership Speak and Area Director in District 86. She is a distinguished Toastmaster at her home club in Windhoek, Namibia. Here, she served in various roles in her club and was also an Area Director for District 74 in South Africa. She's a member of 3 clubs. She has been invited to be the test speakers for the International Speech Contest in Israel. Meeting so many Toastmasters around her, around the globe, has made an impactful leader and made her aware the general values of the audience she meets. This gave Toastmaster Hannah a powerful source of energy to propel towards goals and dreams. Over to you, Toastmaster Hannah, to raise the toast.
You are mute, Hannah.
What a wonderful theme you have chosen, Toastmaster Ashwini. Fully engaged. Please start your glasses and enjoy a moment of being fully engaged. Being fully engaged, especially in Toastmasters, is to serve 100%, be involved and interactive, and show interest in your members for them to achieve that extraordinariness. Whereas a lack of full engagement or poor leadership sends the message that you may not care, you are not interested, you're too busy, or you might even be multitasking. Toastmasters, connect with your members, listen to them, acknowledge their full engagement, and let them give your best. Here's to fully engaged in Toastmasters. Fully engaged in Toastmasters.
Fully engaged in Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hannah, for that wonderful message while we're raising the toast. Now, to ensure that we direct ourselves in a proper format of the meeting, today I have a very important role player to be a timer for today's meeting. Toastmaster Bernal is timer for our today's meeting. When I asked him, what do you mean by fully engaged? He said, when he's doing any tasks, he followed TMRR, a very interesting concept which I came across, which means target, measure, review, and reflection. This model in his professional work has helped him, and this has helped him to develop a beautiful habit of making a daily to-do list. And at the end of the day, what he does is he analyzes it with a success story.
Move on.
Now request Toastmaster Bernal to introduce his role for today's meeting. Toastmaster Bernal, over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Aswathy, for your nice introduction. So we all know one thing is important in life, which I believe. The bad news is that time flies. The good news is that you are the pilot of your time. So how you use your time is up to you. Nobody can guide you. So with that note, I just share the rules for the timer role. So today we have our speaker, DTM Brahm. So Brahm, I'll show green at 15 minutes, yellow at 19 minutes, and red at 20 minutes. And apart from that, I'll take care of the appropriate time used by the speaker. Now coming to our first speaker, Toastmaster Dinesh, I'll show green 5, yellow 6, and red 7. Next, coming for our second speaker, DTM Manju, I'll show green card. Please remember 12 minutes, yellow at 14, and 15 minutes red card. And the next two speaker, Dr. Aswathy Rajan and Kenneth Kajjora. For both of them, the time limit will be the same. I'll show green at 5 minutes, yellow at 6 minutes, and red 7 minutes. And for the evaluator, for all the evaluators, time limits remain same. I'll show green at 2 minutes, yellow 2 minutes and 30 seconds, red at 3 minutes. Timer for the grammar, 1 minute, I'll show green, yellow 1 minute 30 seconds, and 2 minutes red. And for the general evaluator or general of the meeting today, our Fabiola. For Fabiola, I'll show red at 5, 6, yellow, 7 minutes red. So that would be my time for each and every speaker, evaluator, as well as grammarian and general evaluator. And at the end, I'll also try to find out the lead time, which time actually is appropriate time used by each and every speaker. And some of the time we are not speak appropriately. So that time also I notice, and I'll get back to you when general evaluator DTM Fabiola told me to present my report. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you for the brief instructions which you've given to us. So thanks, Toastmaster Bernal. Moving on to the next pillar, grammarian. So today for today's meeting, Toastmaster Angela is going to be our grammarian. To introduce Toastmaster Angela, in 2017, she joined a project where she had to write a book along with 11 other women. Everyone wrote a chapter in the book. Then she decided to write a chapter about her life, having chronic illness and how she overcame all those challenges. This project meant very close to her heart, because this was a very therapeutic project. Because with this, she was able to bring to surface some bad experiences she had in life. The chapter took 6 weeks to focus on being fully engaged, and later on, she could see success. She realized that she can be a mentor to others. She became a coach to others who have chronic illness, and very important, to inspire uplift, empower, and encourage them. And now she is an inspired solo author where she can help few of the chronic patients to come out of that illness in which they are going through. So now I would introduce Toastmaster Angela to take over the stage and explain her role in detail.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. I'm sorry, I'm trying to share the grammarian background, but it's not, for some reason, it's not working. The word of the day is focus, which means to redirect, plan to a state of condition permitting clear precision or understanding. And so the word of the day is focus. And I'm your grammarian, and I will be counting how many times that word is used throughout the day. I am also will be checking your grammar to make sure that proper grammar is used, and also checking to find any identified speech that's unusual or interesting. So I look forward to talking to you again later on at the end of the meeting. Thank you. Over back to you, Madam Topper Master.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Angela. Now let's start this segment by opening with education speech. This segment is a project speech on team collaboration, level 5, project 1 speech. The title, the objective is leading any situation. The speech objective is to present a speech reflecting on a minimum 6 months experience as a leader and the impact of the 360-degree evaluation. It is my honor to introduce the education segment speaker of the evening. Our theme for the night is fully engaged, and I can think of no better person to share his insights and experience on this topic. Our speaker is a dynamic individual who has made a reputation for himself through an unwavering commitment to the passions and goals he has. He embodied the concept of being fully engaged, giving 100% of himself to whatever he undertakes, and inspiring others. With a wealth of knowledge and a unique perspective, I'm confident that our speaker will provide valuable insight on how we all can strive to be more fully engaged in our professional and personal lives. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming DTM Brahm Memone to the stage. You're ready, DTM Brahm?
Thank you.
DTM Brahm Memone, the art and science of engagement. The art and science of engagement, DTM Brahm Memone. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. The art and science of engagement. When crisis hit Toastmasters and globally, we had to begin to lead very, very differently. I'm going to twist this presentation a little bit into how we created engagement on Zoom when a lot of clubs were beginning to fail. And for the past 3 years or several clubs, and especially at Leadership Speak, how we've toned and honed in technology and leadership skills to do what we've done. Now, did you know that a Gallup poll, and you can go and search on internet, and it is exactly what it says, that it's right here. The Gallup poll said that 85% of employees worldwide are not engaged or are actively disengaged at work despite efforts from companies. And that is true across not only organizations, it is true for nonprofits, it's true for organizations like Toastmasters as well. And so perhaps 80 to 85% of the audience right here may not be fully engaged or completely engaged in their activities in Toastmasters even. It can be in a club, it can be in the district level, it could be globally. That is true because this is how we are conditioned to sort of produce our work, non-engagement. So now, what did we do when we started to create Leadership Speak from experiences from other clubs that I had been in where we had created fantastic results? And then we wanted to create an advanced club. So this is what we said. We will bring something very different and everything that we've learned in an online club to create a very successful advanced club and lead in a way globally nobody else is leading. Now, if you look at, of course, the dashboard, we are doing very well in the district. We are #1 in the district in terms of membership and education goals. But that is not our goal. Our goal is much bigger and wider, is to really get members to be engaged. And how do we get them engaged? Get the picture, because 85% of people, or 80 to 85%, are not engaged in whatever they're doing. Fully engaged is what I'm saying, because this is all about being fully engaged, as our Toastmaster of the day has chosen the theme. And I am doing my best to speak and to tell you how we lead in any situation, not just me, but the club itself globally. Ladies and gentlemen, so what we did was we brought our leadership skills, things that we know about leadership and what leadership really does, and what we can do by leading a bit differently from a physical meeting into an online meeting. So we brought that skill to Leadership Speak. What we did is our knowledge of technology as well. We took that technology and we melded leadership and technology together. And what did we do with that? Well, what we did was simply to deliver service. So get that, taking leadership skills, this is our own inner skills of who we are as human beings to inspire others, and technology to create service. And this is how we are leading in any situation that we encounter, no matter what happens tomorrow. If we bring these three things together, we can win anytime and get people engaged, fully engaged. And that is the focus which we are going to, and by fully engaged, what did we tell the members? We told them, be self-directed. And that is our game. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the circle that I'm going to talk about today and address this circle and what it means to Leadership Speak and to our members. And remember, this very speech, this very graphic that you're seeing here, I did that at our launch meeting. So whatever we did at our launch meeting is I'm producing here today again. So you will all understand that what we had in mind at the launch a year later, we are celebrating our club anniversary next week, exactly a year from our charter date next week. So please, everyone, please attend. But this is what I said at the launch meeting, and it is exactly what I'm repeating today, is when you have this circle of leadership, service, and technology, you can create excellence, right? We emphasize that there should be excellence present at any point in the meeting and outside of the meeting between members. Excellence, which creates an experience for the members as well as for our guests. When they come in, they see excellence, they experience something very, very different. Now, if you look at the screen, you know, there's what? I have to appear because I'm not wearing my glasses. There's about 29 members, right? And therefore, finally, it creates an engagement, or that's the hope that it'll create an engagement. And you can see a lot of guests do join our club because of the excellence we portray, the experience that they get, and then the engagement that we create. That is the circle of technology, leadership, and delivering service. Okay, so now what does it all mean, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of engagement? Because we are here to talk about leading in times where we want people to really get engaged. So let's break everything down into the smallest bits and look at what I mean by leadership, technology, and service to begin with. All right. So here are the different components. Leadership plus technology is the delivery of service, all right? That is our equation, and let's look at how this equation works. Let's take the other two out for a moment and look at leadership. So leadership is really an art to begin with. So you really have to understand what is leadership. It is not a science. Now, to a certain effect, it could be a science in terms of when we say leadership is about model the way, which means walk the talk, be exemplary. Sure, science in terms of the information that you get in your head, but it really is an art. How do you model the way? How do you walk the talk? You know, that people see you as exemplary and want to sort of do what you're doing. And here's what I mean by art as well. Nobody can make an artist into a Picasso or a Rembrandt or Leonardo da Vinci. Nobody can make you into a great leader or legendary leader. We can give you the concepts. I can give you everything that's here today, but I cannot make you a great leader because it is an art. When you teach an artist the medium of paint, like oil paints, crayons, watercolors, you teach them the medium of what sort of paper or canvas or pencils they should be using. That is all a medium, and they can practice, and you can teach them how to draw the shape of a cow or shape of an elephant. But in the end, to become a Picasso, they have to take the medium, they have to take the paper and put it in front of them, a blank one, and start to create. And that creativity is an art that comes from within you. And that practice, the preparation, the years of work that artists have to do to be a Mozart or a Beethoven, right? It doesn't come overnight. To be a Shakespeare, to be a Steve Jobs or an Elon Musk, is all an art. That's why they cannot be copied easily. And so if you are not practicing, then it means you're not engaged. If you're practicing 2 days before you to deliver your speech and you haven't really written your speech, even a week before, then you will know that you're not quite engaged and your art is not fully functional, that you're not on your way to becoming one of those legendary Picassos and so on. Let's look a little bit more. So what does this art mean? Well, here's what it means, ladies and gentlemen. You have to know, why am I doing this? Why am I in Toastmasters? Specifically, why am I in Leadership Speak? When Leadership Speak, you know, and you can see a lot of members here, they've got at the top of their head written, you know, a club of experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. What is your why? That is what the platform is here in Leadership Speak as an advanced club. So what is your why? And if you don't have a why, you will not get engaged. It's that vision of, why am I joining here? And at the end of 2023, in December 31st, 2023, who will I be? What will I have done? And will I be totally, completely engaged? Here's the promise. If you immerse yourself in Leadership Speak for just 1 year, this year, you don't have to be in, then you can sort of move out of Leadership Speak. The skills you will have gained to lead, to speak with conviction and confidence and be that person that we promised you to be would happen. But you need to know the why and get engaged. And then when you know your why, of course, we've said this is a self-directed club. Are you self-directed? I mean, if I ask a lot of members here or guests who wanted to join, are you self-directed? I'll get many different varied answers, right? So you have to understand, are we self-directed? As a guest, if you're here, do you want to be self-directed? And what is your reason for coming here today and watching us? And what are you going to take away from here today? And therefore, if you look at some of the backgrounds, our key core values, and most of our members probably know this, is learn, innovate, and connect. Those are key values. So when we created the club, we had all these put together, because we knew that that would create and gel people together and create that momentum that we needed. Having said that, let's move this up and look at technology. Now, when it comes to technology, I think it's very, very simple. We live in a technological era, and it is very simple that we have to become familiar with technology, right? You know, you noticed when Fabiola came on, said, she asked the Sergeant at Arms, do you know how to do this, how to do that? And she said to herself, oh, I need to help out. So, you know, now she's the co-host. She knows technology. Now, what does technology do? Or what do we need to do with technology? Well, technology is a science. It's not an art. Well, if you were in the production of technology, it could be an art as well. But as a user, the user interface has a science behind it and an art, but you will be using it as a science, and you need to understand the technology well. So when you are at Leadership Speak, we use technology to the hilt. We use our Zoom the way it really should be used. Sometimes members are learning, but we use the Zoom as it's supposed to be used. And we know how Zoom works. We use WhatsApp to communicate during the meeting and before the meeting. So we know our applications and how to implement those applications. So that is science, and you have to know and understand, you know, the Google Forms and how Google email works and all that stuff, which is all scientific based, right? So here's the thing. A lot of members have failed to learn new things. They fail to learn to learn. A lot of members, I mean, globally, I'm talking about globally in Toastmasters, they have not been able to embrace technology or the different types of virtual platforms available. Zoom is not the only platform, as we all know, right? Microsoft Teams is another big, huge platform. And then all the applications associated with it that makes the experience seamless. All right. So let's move this up. And service, the delivery of service. What is service and what do I mean by service? And this is the key point, because, okay, leadership is an art. I can not really teach you leadership except give you the concepts and try and inspire you to sort of become a better leader. At leading means being a better human being, at inspiring others and committing and following through and all those things, right? Wonderful things, walking the talk and so on, and getting engaged fully. Service. So what is service? Well, service then, therefore, is art and science together. Because leadership is an art, technology is science, then if you're using leadership and technology to deliver, service is an art and a science. And how we're serving. And so what does it look like, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it is the culture that we live in. A culture of service. It is our core, one of our core values at Toastmasters International, service, and to serve with excellence, right? Which is what then creates the experience. And when the people feel that experience, they get engaged and they get excited. And that's why we have a lot of guests join all the time, because of that excitement and the culture that we have. So here we are. This is the formula, ladies and gentlemen, of engagement. Now I'll go and explain to you further what I mean. How does engagement really come into this? Well, here we go. Ready? As I've said, when we serve with excellence, there's seamlessness, the delivery is seamless in terms of the speakers having been practiced. That means they were engaged and they knew what they were doing and they have total complete engagement, fully engaged. There's excellence present. And then the technology, the ability to understand technology, to learn technology, and to learn what it does to the presentation and to the audience that is present in the meeting. Okay, so you need to, again, practice beforehand, the art and the science. Secondly, that experience, again, creates the experience, as I've mentioned. And that experience, ladies and gentlemen, creates the engagement. And therefore, let's look at this engagement. Engagement, ladies and gentlemen, is learning to learn and unlearning things that don't work. If you come from a community club and you come into Leadership Speak, you will find things so different, and you will have to forget what you've ever learned. Even if you've been in Toastmasters for 20, 25, 30 years, you'll have to forget what you've learned and open your mind to learning something brand new. If you have not an open mind, things will not run according to plan, and therefore will have low engagement. So you really have to have an open mind as to what it means, what we are talking about here today. And when there's learning and there's growth, there's engagement. The platform is here. The mentoring is here. The training is here. And so if you're a guest and you want to join, you will encounter all these things, which is why you want to join Leadership Speak. What does this mean in the end? As our Toastmaster of the day would say, it leads to happiness, it leads to success, and it leads to fulfillment. And this is how we are leading in difficult times, by creating engagement. And what does this mean, ladies and gentlemen? In the end, it means well-being, because when your people are fully engaged and they know that they have practiced and they're providing service and they come here to speak with confidence and conviction and credibility, they feel at the end of the year, just 1 year, using all this, just 1 year in Toastmasters, in Leadership Speak, immersion, you don't need to be a member of any other club. You don't need to be spread thin. I promise you. You'll walk away with something far superior than you ever have. And when you walk away with such thing, you have the deep inner feeling, right, of well-being, that, yes, I've done something. And it's all when you're fully engaged. And we are providing the platform to be fully engaged right here in Leadership Speak. Here's the formula again, ladies and gentlemen, therefore. The circle is leadership, technology, and service. And a long time ago, well, a long time ago means about 40 years ago, Alvin Toffler, and for those of you who know Alvin Toffler, The Future Shock was one of his famous books. He said the illiterate of the 21st century will be those who cannot read, write, will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And ladies and gentlemen, therefore, the science of engagement is that circle that's moving behind in there. The science and art, actually. And this is how we lead in Leadership Speak. And this is how we expect you to be after a year being in Leadership Speak, to be a world-class leader and speaker. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, DTM Brahm, for that wonderful insight. Let's move to the prepared speech segment. Today, the first speaker in the prepared speech segment, we have someone who is engaged by dedicating himself, giving his 120% of his tasks. And that has been major transformation in his life. He started from year 2020, and that year 2020 has helped him to become a servant leader. Let me call upon Toastmaster Dinesh Sharma to present his prepared speech. Now I would like to call upon Toastmaster Asif to come and state his speech objectives, and we can then start with the speech.
Today, Toastmaster Dinesh is going to present his project on engage your audience with humor. The purpose of this project is for the member to determine the style of humor and apply it to a speech that centers around a central message. So the speech is for 5 to 7 minutes. Best wishes, Dinesh. Over to you, TMOD.
Toastmaster Dinesh, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Yeah, all the best. Toastmaster Dinesh.
Thank you.
Dare to dream big. Writing different chapters of life. Dare to dream big, writing different chapters of life. Toastmaster Dinesh, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. First of all, I want to thank you, Brahm, for creating this club and sharing with us the different strategies. He just said to us as how do you become fully engaged? And thank you, the Toastmaster Ashwini, for this topic of how you become fully engaged. I'm going to share with you the different chapters of my life where I became fully engaged in what I have been doing it. So 3 parts of the presentation: foundational year, 1980 to 2002, moving to Canada, 2002, and then you will see what is ISR, CSR. You will hear this. ISR stands for individual social responsibility, and CSR remains corporate social responsibility. Let me share the few stories of my foundational year. 1980, a 12-year-old boy goes to a school teacher and says, "Teacher, I want to start a school cricket team." The teacher asks him, "Do you know how to play cricket?" Says, "Yes, I do." And the teacher brings out the cricket bat and says, "Buddy, your height is much smaller than a cricket bat. How will you play?" Says, "No, teacher, I will." So the kid builds a cricket team. That's another story, that when the cricket match happens, that boy is out on the first ball of the match itself. A couple of years down the line, there's a grade 10. He said, "Let's form a study group so that we all can study together and succeed together," because his mantra was, "Together we all grow." The result came. Everybody passed, except that kid. The kid's father asked him, "What were you doing?" And the kid said, "Dad, I was helping others grow." Moving forward, the kid grew up, came to Canada, and said, "Hey, I'm an HR professional, and I want to succeed in Canada in my own profession." Everybody looked at him and says, "No, you won't succeed in Canada in HR, because in Canada, HR field is mostly dominated by the females, or it's a female-centric profession." And Fabiola, you would hear this. He said to them, there's a famous dialogue in one of the movies, Indian movies, and he says, "I am an Indian, and Indians don't like to hear the word no. Hindustani hoon, na shabd sunai hi nahi deta." Okay, so then he started working towards it, and look at the picture. It's a female-centric organization. There's only one kid there who's now grown up to become a boy, a man. That's another story, that he's sleeping amongst all the ladies, his eyes are closed. But what's the message? You become engaged, you become involved, and you believe in yourself and says, "Na shabd sunai nahi deta." This is what you can. You don't hear the word that this cannot happen. However, as the Toastmaster Ashwini said, that the major transformation in the life came in 2020 when COVID hit, and we realized in Canada 3 million Canadians lost a job. The majority of them were the people that were new to Canada. And so what he did, he thought it as an individual social responsibility. He built a team of professionals, those who had the same commitment, passion, and dedication to give back to the community. And we started organizing professional development events to help those who had lost their jobs, those who were struggling, those who were doing. You can see those pictures. Okay. However, we realized that there is so much more to do. We alone as 15 people will not be able to do all that much. And I'm not sure how many of you know this. Every year, 500,000 people from across the world make Canada home every year. And during the first couple of years' time, the it is struggling, it is challenging. When you uproot a tree from one place and bring it to the another one, it's going to take time. So then we said, okay, that's fine. We 15 people may not be do everything, but why don't we make this as a mission? Why don't we do this as part of our corporate social responsibility? And then this is what we did. We brought people from different culture, different nationalities, and says diversity, equity, and inclusions are key for serving the community. And now we are building an ecosystem where we support these 500,000 people that are coming to Canada every year. So we can help them, support them. And I'm going to say this very respectfully. I'm thankful to Leadership Speak Club for, I keep telling to Brahm every time that yes, my focus is on Brilliant Minds Group, but I still come every Sunday and Saturday to this meeting because why? I learned so much from here, which I implemented at Brilliant Minds Group. But having said that, having doing all that stuff too, there is something that I have always believed. Family is very important. In spite of all what you do, you can't miss your family. You can't ignore your family. So we do spend time with the family. So in the summary, our life consists of different chapters. We are the writer of each chapter of our life. It's okay to fail and fall down. I have fallen down many, many times. In Canada, I have seen good, bad, and ugly. But it's not okay to not keep trying. And more importantly, have fun with the family and remain fully engaged. That's all from me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thanks for showing different facets of being fully engaged. Let me add to this. In our culture, living in this manner has become very foreign to us. Having an over-interactive mind that strongly resists of being absorbed in this moment, a mind that can sometimes feel out of control. We feel very normal for this. Because of this, we need to train ourselves to be aware of our thoughts in our mind, which is producing at any moment. And we also need to learn what it feels like to experience quieter mind and how we accomplish this. Thought awareness training is mindfulness-based approach to perform enhancements in our goals, which was been developed by Thomas Turner, and helps to involve learning to observe, regulate one's thought, emotions, behaviors, and in order to achieve greater clarity, balance, and control. There are different ways to do that, to practice this. I will come to it later. But before we do that, let's move to our second speaker. And our second speaker is someone who is India's top 100 author awardee and India's top 100 women leaders awardee. She's an author coach who has coached a Canadian CEO to write a book. She's also a TEDx coach. The first person whom she coached to write a book was a Toastmaster. After that, she went to coach 120 adults and 65 child authors. Every year, it is from Toastmasters that our speaker derives strength to surge forward and catapult herself to the next orbit. And let me call upon DTM Manju to take up the stage for the next speech slot. But before we do that, I would want to invite our next evaluator. And the evaluator for DTM Manju is Toastmaster Nikhita Winkler. I would request Nikhita to come and state the speech objective for Toastmaster Manju.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be the evaluator for this speech titled Where Leaders Are Made, or Where Speakers Are Made. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice the skills needed to address audience challenges when he or she presents outside of the Toastmasters Club. But this would be inside of our club. And this is a challenging project. We will have disruptors and see how our DTM Manju deals with it. Thank you very much. It's a 10 to 15 minute speech. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
DTM Manju, you're ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
I would request Zoom Master to spotlight DTM Manju. And yeah, DTM Manju, where leaders are made and where speakers are made. Where leaders are made and where our speakers are made. DTM Manju, over to you.
Greetings of the day to one and all. I'm truly honored to be in the midst of all of you leaders and great communicators from across the world. My speech title, as already Toastmaster Ashwini mentioned, is Where Leaders Are Made or Where Speakers Are Made. Yes, we have to determine that. So before that, I have a fun quiz for you. Let me ask you to type in the chat window the answers. How many countries do we have Toastmasters in right now, today? If someone has checked the Toastmasters website today, only then you would know it. It's not 149 if you were about to answer that. Okay, let me see who all are checking Toastmasters website. Yeah. It is more than 100. If you want a clue, it's more than 100, but it is not 149. Okay, if 13 and 48 are too low, the correct answer is 144. Again, another question. Who is the founder of Toastmasters? I think this is a no-brainer, right? I'm sure everyone would get it right. Okay, Ralph C. Smedley. Now the next question, which I would say is little, yeah, Aswathy, that's right, Ralph C. Smedley. The next question is, where leaders are made or where speakers are made? What is the tagline of Toastmasters? I put in the chat window. For your ease, you can either type A or B. A, okay. Others, where leaders are made. Is it okay? Or where speakers are made? Okay, Tony, that's A. Marcus, A. Fantastic. I think majority of you got it right. It's where leaders are made. But I have always wondered, is it really where leaders are made? Are truly leaders being made here? Of course, in leadership speak, like Brahm mentioned in his speech, yes, leaders are getting made. Okay, but what about the rest of the world? Are leaders truly created there? Because I see a lot of people who just get through Toastmasters. Have they been in Toastmasters for 5 or 6 years? They've not taken up even one executive committee role. They have not taken up one. Yeah.
But
yes,
you know,
yeah.
I read a lot, you know, that, we say leaders are made. And I said that moments ago, you know, we're making leaders here. But really, I mean, we're just standing up and talking. So where is the leadership really? I mean, come on. I mean, we're just saying that for the sake of saying, right? Isn't it?
Yes, I totally agree. It's not just about standing and speaking, because leaders truly create more leaders. They don't create followers, they create leaders. And leadership speak, we all agree, is the place where more leaders are made.
But what is a leader? What is a leader?
Yes, a good question, Tony. I'll be back to you with the answer if you stay glued to the speech now. Are you okay with that? Are you in? Yes, fasten your seat belts.
But you know what? I think Tony is a leader, right?
Tony is the leader, of course. Yes, Tony is the leader. So now let me ask you this question.
Don't blame it on me. No.
When did you first join Toastmasters? When did you first join Toastmasters? You can just
so Manju, I think that's a great question. Manju, the question is great, but I have a counter question for you. And the question is slightly long, so bear with me. You are talking about leadership being made, leaderships being created, and Toastmasters and all of that. And you also mentioned that Toastmasters don't take up roles and don't do things, and yet you are saying leaders are made here. So aren't you contradicting yourself right in the first 5 minutes of your speech? And this contradiction seems to be keeps on repeating. So think about what you're trying to say.
I must ask all of you to give a standing ovation to this gentleman, Toastmaster Sudarshan, because he put a very relevant point, which I would be covering in the next phase of my speech. So Toastmaster Sudarshan, here's my story for you. The day I joined Toastmasters, actually, unlike many of you, I just walked into a Toastmasters meeting and I just joined. That's it. Nobody had to persuade me. You know why? Because I was working in Infosys and it was 5 p.m. in the evening that night. I vividly remember I was walking with a cup of coffee because in the evening, I still had a lot more client status calls to go through. You know, I can't go home unless I'm done. Or if I go home with a child, I still have to balance the calls. Yes, Toastmaster Sudarshan, I'll be back shortly. And then we had to get to the client calls. That's when we come to the interesting point. I see a board where it says, where leaders are made. Oh my God, where leaders are made.
Well done.
Yeah,
Way to go.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right, Tony. Yeah, where leaders are made. And I'm working in an organization which has 2 lakh employees worldwide. I said, leaders are made. We are already leaders. That's what I thought in 2013.
Do you know that also speakers are made?
Yeah. No, I can't see you. Are you on camera?
Do you agree that also speakers are made?
Yes, speakers are also made here. Yeah, Kenneth, that's a good point here. So Toastmaster Kenneth says speakers are made. True, speakers are also made. But when it comes to leaders, right, speakers are made means you have to first go and ask your parents if they had not taught you the rudiments of language, would you be speaking or would you be babbling? You might be still doing that if your parents or grandparents or some relatives or someone in the community had not invested their precious time and energy and efforts in making you a communicator. Otherwise, you'd be doing this. Mama. That's what we would be doing, because human beings help create other speakers and communicators. Same way leaders are created in Toastmasters. So when I saw the word where leaders are made, I just barged into the meeting room. Oh, leaders are made. They also had theme of the day. It said where dreams come true. Wow, where dreams come true and where leaders are made. That's what I want to be, my dreams. You know, I wanted to be an author. I wanted to run my own business. Who doesn't want to run their own business? Who wants to go to office and then, you know, listen to the dictates of all those crazy managers asking us to sacrifice our personal time and work for some corporate to make them richer and richer and richer day by day? If you had the
you're right. Bang on. Yeah.
Yes,
I don't want the responsibility of being a leader. I am perfectly happy getting a paycheck at the end of each month. I have no desire to run my own business.
You are the true leader who knows to create other leaders. That is why you're saying this. But if you had the choice, or if you had the ambition of creating your own firm, then you might actually speak a different talk. That's all. Toastmaster Sudarshan, I absolutely agree with you. Kudos to your fast thinking. By the way, we went into the room and then I heard this whole stuff. And I also got to know that, actually I went ahead of time. I realized that there's a whole committee working on creating that meeting. Yes. Oh, is that Kenneth? Yeah, Kenneth. What do you have? What do you have for me now?
It's okay. You can go on. Yeah. No worries.
Oh, no thank worries. You so much, Kenneth. Thank you so much. And I must thank you. You know, you pronounce my name correctly. It is Manju. It is not Manhu. It is not Manu, because that's my brother's name. It's Manju. J, you have to pronounce. It's not like Spanish where J is silent.
That's a great name, so Manju. What does it mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you. You know what? How do I look? Beautiful? Yes, Manju actually means beautiful. And my dad's name, Manohar, that also means one who steals one's mind. Beautiful. Beautiful of the beautiful. That's what. Manju K. Manohar. If anyone knows Hindi, they'll understand. Brahm is figuring out.
I believe it.
I can see the cogwheels in his brain turning. Manju K. Manohar, Manohar K. Manohar, beautiful K. Beautiful. Yes, it is beautiful.
You go. You're the best.
I'm not living up to that name, but you know what? I do have a beautiful heart, because I believe that true leaders don't judge others by your visage or by your countenance, by your face. You must judge others by their intention, by their heart. What you have in their heart, that's what counts. Rather than
yes,
yes, Tony. Yes, that's right. Now, when we went into the meeting, I saw that the executive committee was planning something. They were like, okay, is there a TMOD? I was like, what? Okay, can you be the time? I said, I am not in this. I'm a guest. Oh, you're a guest? Okay, fine. And they were running around and they were trying to find, role players and stuff like that. Okay, because some of the role players didn't turn up. And then I realized, oh, these people are working so hard to organize a meeting. And that was my first meeting where dreams come true. And I realized that this could be the place where I could learn how to lead without using my authority. How many of you would like to lead without using your authority? Only lead with influence. How many of you would like to be a clone of Brahm and bring 1,000 people across the world together, or 5,000 people, or 10,000 people, or 1 lakh? Next year Brahm will take it to 1 million. I don't know. In other 2 years,
Brahm is
he'll say 1
great.
million,
Yeah,
10
he's a great
million.
leader. Yeah,
Exactly.
I like to be like Brahm.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. We all would like to do that, right? When we say, come on, let's join this meeting, we need 1 million people joining our meetings. Now, I realized that Toastmasters is this wonderful place. Probably I could learn something from them if I said 3-letter words, a 3-letter word aside. Can you guess what is that 3-letter word?
No, what is it?
3-letter word? Yeah. E-G-O. Ego. Yes, if I let my ego, if I can set my ego aside, I can learn a lot by listening to all of you, listening to all the feedback that I get from the meetings. Of
Like
course,
being
in an
humble, right?
executive
You're being
committee.
humble.
Yes,
Humble.
yes. In fact,
I get it.
Just
even
to say the
executive
interrupters,
committee,
you can
right?
only interrupt
Yes.
once, Tony. You done
once?
more than once, only once.
No issues, no issues. This is fun. Brahm, this is real fun because this is how real life is, right? So I'm okay. So when it happens, right? When you said that 3-letter word, ego, aside, that's when I started learning. I became an ExCom member. I was already a manager. I was probably 15 years into my management thing. And most of the people there were either...
So Manju, you are saying that without being an ExCom, we cannot be a leader?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Maybe from the time you were born, there could be people who are like Gandhiji, or maybe, someone like Martin Luther King, who are born as an embryo, or maybe in the DNA form itself as a leader. But I would say most people, it is the environment that shapes leadership skills. It is the people around them who help mold them. Like our parents did, like our teachers did, like our peers did, like our friends did, like our managers did, like our co-workers did, like our people all around us. They are all shaping us. And in fact, even the people whom we admire, even we tend to unconsciously follow their role model. So what happened next is I signed up for some ExCom roles. And since I was already a manager, I just took, arbitrary decisions. I didn't follow the covenant or whatever. I just said, okay, fine, you're doing this. I just made some exception rules. And my mentor called me aside, and my mentor was younger to me in the organization. He said, Manju, you need to consult the ExCom before you make any decision or before you make any exception. That was a very humbling moment for me. 15 years into the organization, and someone calls me and they said, but that is where I would say I started growing as a leader. When you accept that, yes, you made a mistake. I said, okay, sorry, Abhishek, I wouldn't do that again. Next time I'll consult the ExCom. It was a humbling moment. And then comes the learning as how to lead by influencing others. Because the key to grow as a leader would be sign up as some role or the other within the ExCom. If you don't have time to do, VP Ed, VPM, etc., no problem. Sign up as Associate VP Ed, Associate VPM, Associate VPPR. You can create posters for just 4 weeks, but you will get to work with people, right? When you work with people, you can see what are the skills that you would like to learn from them, and then try and imbibe those. So that was my, I would say one of the best learnings I had in Toastmasters. And it only became better. I went and participated in many contests. I did not learn much. I just became bolder, but I was always competing. I was in inter-university competitions. I was a speaker at school, college. So I didn't learn. Where I learned is all behind the screens in executive committee groups or in even contest chair type roles. When I took on contest chair or a chief judge, try playing the chief judge role. Try inviting 7 people. You learn to lead by influencing others, because you just command them, come, all of you join at 7 p.m. Nobody would join unless they respect you. So that is what you learn in Toastmasters, my friends. You all know because you are all leaders. So let's all up our leadership skills, just like Brahm said, right? Leadership and technology, service and excellence. So thank you so much, MC. Over to the Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, DTM Manju, for that interesting walkthrough of the Toastmaster, being a Toastmaster. So I was talking about thought awareness training. So what it means, it basically means practicing regular meditation and other mindfulness practice. Individual can learn and identify negative thought patterns, develop more constructive attitudes and beliefs, and build a greater resilience in the face of stress and challenges. Thought awareness trainings also emphasizes on setting clear goals, achievable goals, and developing a plan to achieve them. By breaking down complex tasks into some smaller, manageable tasks, individual can build confidence and momentum and create sense of achievement and progress over time. Moving on to the next speaker, we would have Toastmaster Aswathy Rajan. And to talk about her, I mean, she's the one who believes as a leader, being engaged with the team is prerequisite for executing any task. She always believed in this, and she involved herself 100%, though she delegated the work to her team members as well. At the same time, she ensured that her involvement or engagement is not creating an interference for their work. She also kept up with the team through regular discussions and recognitions of small achievements in between, which is the key success for having successful team. To state the speech objectives, I would call upon Toastmaster Bindu to state the speech objective of Toastmaster Aswathy Rajan. Toastmaster Bindu, over to you.
Thank you, Ashwini. Today, Dr. Aswathy will be speaking, is on her presentation mastery pathway. She's going to be speaking about communication styles. As a part of a project, she will have to understand the different type of communication styles, identify what is her communication style, and also give us a 5 to 7 speech, either about her communication style, what it is, or the impact of this communication style on others. This content and style of this particular speech, it can be either informational or it can be humorous. And I'm pretty eager to see what Dr. Aswathy has for us. Back to you, Toastmistress of the Day.
Toastmaster Aswathy, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Toastmaster Aswathy Rajan, communicate to lead. Communicate to lead. Toastmaster Aswathy, over to you.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. It is important that we have a clear communication style which can be easily understood by others without any bafflement or misapprehensions. To say of what is that it is not, or of what is not that it is false. While to say of what is that it is, and of what is not that it is not, is true, said by Aristotle. But confused, right? It is true that a good communication is a bridge between confusion and clarity. And to avoid that confusion, it's very important that first we understand our own communication style and then convey the message. It is said that silence can say many things. According to our cinema, One can also speak with their eyes, like a beautiful heroine who conveys her deep love for the hero through her charismatic eyes. Or teachers staring at their students. Or parents just lifting their eyebrows or making a sound can convey a clear message, isn't it? Basically, every person in this world has a unique communication style. Even a newborn baby has it. But do you all know when did we start communicating? At what age? Any answers? Anyone? The fact is, from about 16 weeks, babies can start their first communication by listening to their mom's voice. Wow, it is fantastic, isn't it? But unfortunately, when I realized the power of communication, I was already 22 years old. When I was in my second year of post-graduation, I got an opportunity to present my research work in an international conference. My guide called me for a rehearsal and asked me, Aswathy, explain your research work. I was standing like a rock, silent, with a blank face. She asked once again, and this time with a raised voice, Aswathy, I asked you something. And again, pin drop silence. And now the third time, in an angry and irritated voice, what are you going to present there, Aswathy? And the very next moment, my eyes were filled with tears. Tears of fear. My teacher understood and told, Aswathy, I know you. You're really a hardworking student. You certainly are one of the best researchers I have in my lab. But if you cannot communicate your work to others, then what's the point? Imagine the impact you can create on the audience through your unique research. And that's only possible if you can communicate your idea confidently and clearly. Communication is the ticket to your success. And it's high time you pay attention and learn to do it effectively. That day, I realized the power of communication. And I decided to work on it. For the first time, I paid attention on my communication. And believe me, it was horrible. But that day, after multiple rounds of practice, clear focus, and my teacher's help, I delivered the talk pretty confidently and managed to grab some really good compliments. Though I could imply this direct and analytic style of communication in my research every time I presented on stage. But I'm still struggling to apply this style in my personal life. From my childhood, I'm a kind of a person who values personal relations, but certainly not a person who can initiate conversations with others. And unlike such initiative communicators, I prefer to listen. I think a lot of others' perspectives and think about their reaction before speaking. I often listen to their views to receive feedback. My priority is always listening to the other person, which makes me a supportive communicator. With time and experience, I have found that this type of communication is a great way to connect with others, especially when you work in a team. As a principal investigator of the research project, or as the principal of the school where I worked, I always used supportive style of communication to lead my team, which helped me not only to build a strong team, but also a highly productive and high-performing team. So dear friends, different styles of communications may be relevant or rather vital for conveying the message perfectly. It all depends on what you like to achieve. It's not only one communication style which can make you a perfect communicator, but you need to assess the situation and employ the relevant communication style. So communication works for those who works for that. But above all, to effectively communicate, we must realize that we all are same but different in the way we perceive the world, and use this understanding as a guide to your communication with others, like how I have found my communication style which is supportive, style to lead the team. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aswathy. Moving on to the next speaker, we have Toastmaster Kenneth Kajjora taking up the stage. To talk about Kenneth, he is a self-paced learner and an educationist. In his current club, he is playing role of VP Education, which has enabled him to learn several competencies, connecting with people like our current president, DTM Brahm, and many more here at Leadership Speak. And this has excelled him being a best VP in District 114. For him, making connection with people is something helps him to focus and accomplish his task at hand. To do the evaluation, I would invite Toastmaster Mariana to state his speech objectives, and then we move on to Toastmaster Kenneth for the speech delivery. Toastmaster Mariana, over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Kenneth will present from Visionary Communication, Level 1, Writing a Speech with a Purpose. And his purpose of this project is to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Toastmaster Kenneth, are you ready? Toastmaster Kenneth, can you hear me?
Yes. What would come to mind? What would come to mind if you decided to water a plant and it didn't seem to be growing? What would come to mind if you decided to water a plant and didn't seem to be growing? Kindly put it in chat. Kindly put it in chat. Put it in chat. What would come to mind if you decided to water a plant and it didn't seem to be growing? Toastmasters and guests, we are meant to be growing physically, intellectually, and spiritually. That is why all of us came from our mother's womb as babies and kept advancing in stage. Same progression is expected in our knowledge, in our skills and wisdom. Sometimes we experience similar things or do the same things year after year without any remarkable improvement. In those moments, it feels like nothing new is coming into one's life. And even though what they have seems to be dying or diminishing, Toastmasters and the most distinguished guests on this call, that feeling is called stagnation. And what is stagnation? Stagnation means being in one place or being in one stop while others are moving forward. Ben Nebichukwu, in his book, titled Overcoming Stagnation stresses that a progressive person should be excited about the future. Toastmasters, what are you excited about? Are you living in a moment of progress or stagnation? Take a survey in your docket. Are you working on your Toastmasters journey in achieving your goals? Have you ensured to progress in your education goals? Have you taken up leadership in your club? How many of you have taken up leadership at Leadership Speak? We are soon coming to the time of voting. How many of you? Why progress? When I joined Toastmasters, when I started my education goals, my pathway, I completed level 1 and I kept procrastinating to give speeches. Every time I could give myself excuses. It is until I decided to take up a leadership role in the club, and that kept challenging me and moving me out of my comfort zone. This taught me to always just grab opportunities to avoid negative sounds that come along my way. One would think that I was ready for this role of the Vice President Education. No, but because of imbibing positivity, I decided to take on that role. And here I am. Recently I was recognized as the best Vice President Education in the division, and not only division, but the District 114. And today, I stand before Leadership Speak. Toastmasters, this evening, I want to share 3 simple ways in which you can progress in your Toastmasters journey and even in your life. 1, we are soon celebrating our anniversary as a club of Leadership Speak. How many of you have registered for a speech? How many? I challenge you to live in a moment of progress. Grab whatever opportunity that comes along your journey. You never know where it takes you. 2, avoid procrastination. It delays your achievements. One way of avoiding procrastination is by imbibing positivity. As you progress in life, engage in things that make you energized. Connect yourself to people that imbibe positivity, like DTM Brahm, Hexandra Volt, and among others. Another way is by practicing reflection as you progress. Every time in life, look back and assess yourself on the achievements and where to improve. This gives you inspiration on how to make the next step. Number 3, celebrate your achievements. Tell your successful stories. Let the club celebrate with you your successes, like promotions, birthdays, name it. Toastmasters and the distinguished guests, the life we are in is full of challenges. But today, I am here to encourage you, each one of you, not to stagnate in your Toastmasters journey. Keep watering your plant, continuously through progressing. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thanks, Kenneth, for this wonderful last line when you said, keep watering your plant, which will keep growing. And to add this, thought awareness training is absolutely essential. But another aspect to it is not taking into account the current process, being in presence, that can actually erode the intensity and enthusiasm you drive. The aspect is simply interpretation of this moment. The moment determined whether we can perform at our best, but also especially in less crucial activities, it can instrumental in determining whether we become bored, impatient, or frustrated. Try to notice your interpretation of any given moment. With this, we've come to an end of the prepared speech segment. I would now request Toastmaster Manohar to come up and share the timer reports. And then we move forward to vote for the best speaker. But before I invite Toastmaster Manohar, I would wanting to just make one announcement. I missed inviting DTM Sudarshan as an evaluator for DTM Brahm. So sorry for that. And I would request Fabiola to introduce DTM Sudarshan for the next proceedings. Over to you, timer.
Thank you so much. So details, timer report for each speaker, I already mentioned in the chat box. So I just want to share for each speaker a recommendation for the timer. So coming to first Brahm. Brahm took why self-directed part 11 minutes 30 seconds, technology part only 2 minutes, surveys 5 minutes 30 seconds. So my recommendation for Brahm can spend more time on technology. Coming to second speaker, Toastmaster Dinesh. Dinesh took only one part, I think. So Dinesh, I think, segregated 3 dimensions: foundation years, moving to Canada, individual social responsibility. Recommendation for timer, recommendation for Dinesh. Dinesh can spend more time on summary part because he spent summary part only 35 seconds. Next, most interesting session, DTM Manju ke Manohar sessions. So only 2 recommendations for Manju. One is, I think that is not the hand of Manju. That is 3 interruptions was taken within 45 seconds. 3 interruptions back to back within 45 seconds. So I think that's a fault of not a Manju. I think it's interruptions. And another part only, I think one part, I think Manju could improve in as a timer part because she spent almost 1 minute 45 seconds only the meaning of Manju by questions by one is by Tony and another by Kenneth. So I think this time you can take care by yourself rather than I think you could speak more effective on that time. Now coming to next, Aswathy Rajan. So Aswathy Rajan communication style, communicate to late. Only recommendations for I think Toastmaster Aswathy spent communication style only 1 minute 30 seconds. So that is the main purpose of her project. She can spend more time on communication style, different kind of communication style. Although she talk about direct, analytical, and supportive, but very less time she talk about that. Now coming to our fourth speaker, Toastmaster Kenneth. You bang on time. Only 2 things recommendation as a timer. Celebrate your success. You just spend only 10 seconds, and summary you just spend 15 seconds. So these 2 parts you could improve. So that's the report from timer from my end. And as a timer, I already took 3 minutes time. And Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Manju till now already took 9 minutes time. So that's the timer report. Back to you.
Thank you. Now this is a time to take quick 2 minutes break. But before we do that, I would request Zoom Master to release poll for the best speaker.
I cannot see the poll. Is it opened up yet?
Not yet, I think so.
No. Is our Zoom master in the meeting?
Yes, I am in the meeting now.
Okay.
Not this one.
No, this is the evaluators ballot. You need to release the speaker's ballot.
Yeah, now it is the speakers.
Time over.
Timer, do we have 2 minutes to take a break or should we continue? Looking at the schedule, we have 30 minutes with us.
In 2 minutes, break is already over. If another 2 minutes required for bio break, we are ready to go ahead.
So let's take a quick bio break for a minute and then we come back to the session. Thank you.
Time over. Back to you, TMOD.
Now let's move to understand how we have fared well in overall proceedings as per the benchmark set by one of its kind advanced club like ours, and also check level of engagement we had in this proceeding. To honor this, I would invite General Evaluator, Toastmaster Fabiola, to do the honors. Fabiola is an empathetic leader and believes that with the help of HPL structure, high performing leadership structure, she took on to organize her mom's 80th birthday. Being the youngest of 7 siblings, it gave her an opportunity to lead her much older brothers and sisters and follow her lead as she delegated tasks to them, which normally they used to order when she was one of the youngest daughter in the family. She persuaded them to go for what seemed impossible, where there was not enough money, motivated them when it was going tough, inspired them to help realize mom's dream birthday celebration. What Fabiola says that she realized that now she can lead all teams to success. Folks, this is exactly what I meant by interpreting that experience, which kept her focused and engaged to do her task at her best. Toastmaster Fabiola, over to you.
Thank you to our so engaged Toastmasters of the meeting. And yes, this is the moment where we look at our performance today and see what are the parts where we can engage to make it better. I will go right away to introduce one of the first team members of the evaluation team, who is going to evaluate the leadership speech. Before doing that, he will also let us know the objective of this project and also what he's going to be evaluating on, and then he will take on to evaluate the speaker in 3 minutes. Let's welcome to the lectern Toastmaster Sudarshan.
Thank you very much. Timer, start my timing after I've finished explaining the objectives. So this was supposed to be a level 5 project 1 speech from the Pathways Leadership Excellence, and the objectives with which I'm going to evaluate this speech, as discussed with the speaker, was the ability to use technology and demonstrate expertise with technology, movement across the screen, and of course, in addition to all of that, the ability to communicate and inspire all of us to imbibe the message that the speaker was trying to deliver. So that being the background, I will start my evaluation proper right now. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, today we witnessed a speech replete with acronyms. And I have created an acronym of my own to depict what I absorbed in my engagement, what I could receive from this speech. And that is 3 P's, PPP. P number 1 stands for purpose. DTM Brahm was extremely clear and candid on what is the meaning of engagement in leadership and how to achieve that. So that was the purpose with which he spoke to all of us. Next was perfection. Perfection was demonstrated in every aspect of the speaker. From the moment the speaker took the stage, the speaker was aligned right smack bang in the center of the screen. That is perfection. From there on, the slides began and they began moving seamlessly. That demonstrated the focus with which our speaker had approached creating the slides and ensuring that the slides communicated his thoughts very clearly. The next one was the fact that the speaker was melded with the technology such that it never appeared as if the speaker was trying to figure out what is the next slide going to say and what's he going to speak. The things move extremely seamlessly, enabling us to remain engaged. And the last P is passion. The speaker's passion for the topic was coming through in every aspect of the entire duration of the speech. The speech took 20 minutes. Personally, I believed and I felt like the speech took about 4 or 5 minutes because I was engrossed and I wanted more. And that is the hallmark of any speaker that drives engagement. So as an audience of one, I will say that I was fully engaged for the entire 20 odd minutes that the speaker spoke, and I wanted some more. And that was kudos to his content, kudos to his delivery, kudos to his commitment to deliver, kudos to his passion and focus to ensuring that the content was rich enough. Now, how does a speaker like this get recommended to do things slightly better? One, first and foremost, I've already stated that Toastmaster Brahm exemplifies perfection. One of the things that I would like Toastmaster Brahm to try and do is to speak with very minimal elements on the presentation, maybe more pictures or visuals, maybe even ensure that there are only 3 slides in the entire presentation, because his style is so engaging that you can remain transfixed to the screen even without the props at the back. Second is, there is a point at which technology begins overwhelming. Today, I felt because of so much happening behind the speaker, maybe there could have been a little less use of technology and a little more use of the person that Brahm is. If you saw the way he was dressed to kill. If you saw the way he spoke, he was looking straight at us from the camera, which meant that the slides could have been relegated to the background and he could have come to the fore. All in all, I would say this is an object lesson in a leadership speech. This is an object lesson on how to deliver on a big stage to an audience of 1,500 or 5,000 or 20,000. And to that extent, I would like to commend DTM Brahm for picking the topic and delivering it with such aplomb. Thank you very much for having me as your evaluator. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Wow, thank you, Sudarshan. And I love the way that you started off by applying what you picked up from the speaker, the acronyms that made it a very unique way of knowing, letting us know that you did pay attention to really give the speaker a good evaluation. Moving on to our next evaluator evaluating the second or the first project speech is Toastmaster Mohmad Asif. Actually, since early age, the age of 24, he was fully engaged in supporting each coaching client achieve more success. He has learned that behind each client is a human being full of emotions, and success lies in addressing those emotional needs. And I got to learn also that here in Leadership Speaks, that is exactly what Toastmaster Mohmad Asif is doing. Let's introduce and give the platform to our next evaluator. Asif, the floor is yours.
Thank you, DTM Fabiola. Can we even highlight Dinesh? Great. Well, the objective of the speech of Dinesh today was to bring humor along with the central message, and marrying 2 things together is such a big challenge. And Dinesh came up with a speech, Dare to Dream Big. I mean, his speech today, dwelled upon his various phases of his life, and where he brought forward the message, like how he has gone through various phases of life, dreaming something really big, and what he learned during this particular journey. Bringing humor, that's such a big challenge. And then I saw that there were so many instances he brought in as a humor. I mean, the bat, either I would say, like, the kid was smaller than the bat. That's such a huge humorous thing, And then you start a coaching initiative, and then you fail in that, and then you were helping other people to grow. That was such a fantastic, I would say, event which you highlighted, which is a bit humorous as well. And then you brought in during your speech how HR is very women's focused, more around the women, and you were the lone guys standing with so many women and trying to fit in that environment would have been definitely be very challenging. And again, the initiative which you're working on during this whole journey, which I could really see, was how you were daring to dream big. Not to nahi suna hai. It's like, we don't stand to see, no, we really keep working on falling down and getting up. To add the humor, it really would have, really been more impactful. I think that if you wouldn't have used the slides, because that would have given you the ample opportunity to demonstrate your voice modulation, your gestures, and along with those funny anecdotes with the voice modulation, they would definitely been so fabulous, correct? So bringing humor, if you plan to bring really humor into your speech, then maybe, you could think about using the slide as to remove the slide. Second thing I would suggest, Dinesh, would be to add a lot of storytelling. So that would really help developing the dialogue. That would really help to bring out the humor. Like, oh my God, the bat was huge, more than me, maybe something that way. Oh, I was a tiny, more tiny than the bat even. Something could, that kind of would have attracted even more laughter. I mean, I'm not so good at it, but maybe we all can try that way to bring in that humor in that way. And something about the women as well, that could really address how you felt lonely in that and how you made yourself fit into that particular environment. Humor stories around it would definitely help you to pack your message along with the humor. Overall, a nice attempt to bring in humor. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Asif. And I hope with these tips, our speaker will take on to improve. I find this path a very difficult one, but with the help of these tips, I hope that you will be able to continue on and work on it. Our next evaluator is going to evaluate the second prepared speech, and that is the speech by Toastmaster Manju. And for this, I would like to call on the platform, Toastmaster Nikhita.
Thank you very much. Can we bring the speaker here as well, please? Great. All right, Toastmaster Manju. So for everyone, the goal of this evaluation was not to evaluate the content of this speech, but instead to evaluate the speaker's ability to manage this. So your title, Where Leaders Are Made or Where Speakers Are Made. I think your message to me was lead through influencing others. And I felt that that could have been a stronger title just because it's direct and it's, giving us your message already. What did you excel in? Woo! 100% energy. Yes, energy. You strive under pressure. That's what I conclude. You strive under pressure and you are not easy to knock down. So you really excelled in handling your audience. My favorite responses to the interrupters that you had were, I'll get back to you with the answer if you stay glued to this speech. Fasten your seatbelt. You made all of us want to fasten our seatbelts. To Sudarshan, you said, and you didn't let him finish, and you said, I'll ask you to give this gentleman a standing ovation for his opinion. Kudos to your fast thinking. I mean, what a way to handle your audience. To Kenneth, who annoyingly kept calling Manju, 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 Manju. You said, I must congratulate you. You pronounced my surname correctly, and you took a detour to teach us about the meaning of your name. And then you diverted right back to your speech, and you said that you lead with a beautiful heart. I thought that was a great way to bring us right back to your message. What should you work on? I recommend that you work on, first of all, do the rest of you agree that Manju is speedy? I mean, you can't knock her down because you can't catch her. That's why you can't knock her down. I think she was really speedy. And that is something that I recommend that you work on, because there were times when you didn't pay attention to the interrupters, but then what happened is that you got louder and louder and faster, and you lost me there. There was just too much happening at the same time, and I couldn't, I just. So the question here is, how can you manage interruptions without sacrificing the clarity of your message? Finally, you got us on the edge of our chairs. Some people were laughing their heads off, and others were held upright by your energy and your ability to manage your difficult audience. There are a lot of takeaways, even though the content wasn't as in this evaluation as relevant as how you managed your audience. Yes, there were so many takeaways, but the one that I felt very relevant to your audience was, it is the people around us who are shaping us. And that includes our difficult audience, because even if they are difficult, they keep us on our toes. So well done, DTM Manju, and congratulations for being today's audience vote. Also, as Brahm has mentioned, I hope to hear the speech again without its interruptions. And yes, thank you very much. That was exciting. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Great evaluation. And I do recommend everyone that wants to improve their public speaking professionally to really take this project on in a setting like this, because the evaluation that you get, wow, this is preparing you to help better your presentation. And I really thank Toastmaster Nikhita for paying attention and really understand the essence of this project to bring it forward like this. One thing I do want to mention here, that we as fellow members need also to understand this project so we can help the speaker. Indeed, the interruptions are good, but sometimes we also need the speaker to give the speaker time to come up with how to do it. And some interruptions are too much to help develop this. But even that, I think Toastmaster Manju is appreciating this, because she is preparing to master this part. Moving on swiftly to our next evaluator, to evaluate the speak by Dr. Aswathy, I call on the virtual lectern, Toastmaster Bindu.
Thank you, Madam GE. Could I please have Ashwini also on the screen? Sorry, Dr. Aswathy also on the screen. So Dr. Aswathy or Aswathy, your speech today is an ideal example of how an advanced speaker does it. And what do I mean how an advanced speaker does it? I mean in every single way. In meeting your objectives in a near perfect structure, and a beautiful message, an emphatic message. Now, I'm just going to go into the nitty-gritty of these components. First, on meeting your objectives, of course, you identified your communication style. You even told us about what communication style might mean to us, to people in general, and how we can effectively use it. Yes, tick, you met that. But what I really loved, and I feel that is worth emphasizing a little bit, was your, what I said, near perfect structure. 1 minute, 20 seconds, you have an introduction, which is engaging. You brought a tongue twister. Who brings a tongue twister? And then you even had questions for the audience. They were engaged. The second, the most effective tool to engage in our audience, a story. And not only a story, 3 key elements that any story should have: it's personal, descriptive, and an effective message. You had them all. Then the next 1 minute, you paced almost nearly equally your 3 different communication styles, your direct, analytic, your supportive, and lastly, that fantastic, beautiful message, a message that we can act on. I feel that is the best sort of message, something that your audience can carry home and act on. You said that identifying our communication style will give us the power to deliver our work to the world. And isn't that the very essence of Toastmasters? You delivered it in your 1 minute, 20-second conclusion. Now, as for what you wanted from this project, vocal variety, I felt your vocal variety was a bit less than your previous speeches, but Aswathy, I feel that's a good thing because it was more natural. As we are not primarily English speaking, sometimes we tend to feel that overemphasis is required. But in my personal opinion, the more comfortable you get with the English language, the less you need that overemphasis. It just comes naturally. And for you today, everything was natural. It had a smooth, really beautiful flow. Now, my one and only suggestion is, when you give a story, we all love a beautiful ending. So maybe it might be good if you segment this story into 2 parts. One, when you didn't know your communication style, and maybe bring us up to a second story or a component of the same story in which knowing your communication style made all the difference. And I feel that is the only suggestion I can give on a speech which I really enjoyed on a difficult topic. I personally do not like the communication style, leadership style speeches. You did it excellently. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Minu. I hope after evaluating this one, you really like to do this project because they help us personally to dive into what we are made of with our communication style and our leadership style. Great evaluation. Thank you for that. And moving on to our last evaluator and last speaker that we had today, which was Kenneth, Toastmaster Kenneth. I call on Toastmaster Mariana. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam G, fellow Toastmasters, and especially you, Kenneth. You did a wonderful presentation, well-organized speech about achieving progress. How can we get forward? I really loved your slides. Expertly prepared, not too crowded, nice pictures, few words. It was easy to follow, and it was in alignment with your speaking. I really like that. I loved your suggestion, you gave us how to get forward, how to improve ourselves, not getting stagnated. Thank you very much. Your speech was an educational. Your voice was clear, understandable, but what I would like to hear a bit more variety, your voice variety. For improvement, I would like to suggest to check your camera, because while your speech was in focus of your purpose, but your camera wasn't in focus with you. And that might be because you had a light source behind you. For that, it's easy to fix it. You just have to turn your computer and get a different background. Or maybe because you were too far away from the camera. I really appreciate that you were standing, but you still have to come closer to the camera so we can see you. And only step back when you have something big to talk about. The other suggestion I would have for you is more impactful finish. You kind of just faded away at the end. I would suggest take a pause and then say something impactful like, people, don't stagnate, keep moving, or go forward, something. And I do have a challenge for you, and that is your PowerPoint presentation. Yes, you use the PowerPoint, but you know there is an advanced Zoom setting where you can get actually in the picture, so we don't have to see you this small. We could see you in full size. And though right now I don't have enough time to show it to you, but I'll be happy to meet with you anytime and show you how to do that. And all in all, excellent educational presentation. Clean up your Zoom presence, and I am looking forward to hear your speech again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mariana. Great tips. And just one that I would like to add, which was very good that Toastmaster Mariana noted the light source. One other tip on this was it was coming from your left shoulder. By going 1 or 2 steps left, your body would be over it, so it won't be so disturbing. And also the other tip that Toastmaster Mariana gave, come, you know, a little bit closer to the camera. Those are tips that really helps you as a presenter, but I'm sure that the detailed evaluation that you got from Mariana, from the overall of your presentation, will really help you to make it better. On the agenda at this moment, we do have the timer's report, and he has been putting the times nicely in the chat. So I will call on him if he has additional reporting to do. And this is Toastmaster Mineral.
Thank you so much. So first I'm coming to our first leadership speaker, Evaluator, DTM Sudarshan. So he spent on 3P 2 minutes, a recommendation part 1 minute, summary 15 seconds. So total science spent 3 minutes 44 seconds. Coming to our next evaluator, Mohmad Asif, spend time on humor 2 minutes 30 seconds. And rest part is story, and summary part just only 5 seconds. Our next evaluator, Nikhita, speech, summary, talk about 2 minutes. Summary part was missing. Total time spent 3 minutes 39 seconds. Next, coming to Bindu. Bindu, I think suggestions part spend more time, and summary part portion was missing. Next, I'm talking to our last and final evaluator, Mariana. Excellent overall. It took 2 minutes 44 seconds. So just only Mariana spent more time on Zoom presence, 45 seconds, and rest are well organized. Back to you. So as a timer, I spent 1 minute 40 seconds. And G, you took almost 5 minutes 40 seconds.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mineral. It's a different way to do our timer's role, more active, more engaged, and more committed. And it really helps our speakers to know where they're at with their time management. I have challenged Toastmaster Mineral to take it on this notch, and he really did a great job doing that. Next is our grammarian, our brand new member, Toastmaster Angela, who is going to give us the report on the meeting for today. Toastmaster Angela.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be back again. I have to say this has really been a really great meeting. The word focus was used 3 times. I really liked Brahm's 3 E's: excellence, experience, and engagement. I think that's something that we all need to continue to focus on. I noticed the word so then was used 4 times, and then was used 1 time. And this was really unusual. I didn't hear this before. It says, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Reminds me of that movie that's from so long ago. And the imitation of babbling. So we all learned a new language, how to babble. And also the word year was mispronounced. But I think that was because of the language, language accent. Now that was my report for Marion, and I'm really happy to be here for my first official role as a member of Leadership Speak.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Angela. And thank you for taking it up and really run with it by participating and maybe taking on more this role as grammarian, which, by the way, I don't like because English is not my first language, but you learn so much. And I'm really happy that you take it on, grow with it, and really give us not only those things that we need to improve on, but if you can also pick on those things that are really making the presentation better, because some of us don't really look at them to see the value in that. But if you point them out as a grammarian, it will really help all of us. Overall, our meeting was very engaging, and I love the way that before the meeting, I engaged with the team. Some of them I challenged to do some things different, and it only helps me and helps them and help all of us to be a better and more extraordinary Toastmaster by using this platform to make us better. I have noticed that our Zoom Master, Sergeant at Arms Zoom Master, it's the first time taking it on this way. And there are a couple of things that can be improved, but he is working on it. And one of the things that the speakers or evaluators, they always say, okay, spotlight me. Just take into consideration that it's coming. So you are also, you can call on those aspects by just, oh, I'm waiting on seeing next to me such and such speaker or such and such presenter. So it will help also the Zoom master to, oh, I haven't done it yet. Or maybe he's trying in the background to do it, because believe me, in the background, there's a lot going on. Also the speakers, I have noticed that sometimes we end our speech with thank you, or this is my conclusion, or this is all. Remember the basics of our speech structure. We have an introduction that is engaging. We have our body that we will elaborate on 2 or 3 points, and then go into the conclusion. Let the conclusion be your conclusion. You don't have to tell us, oh, this is the conclusion. A good speech is going towards that, and we know that it is the conclusion. If you work on it and memorize it, give it a bang, we know it is the end. And that makes a better impact of you as a speaker. Hope these tips have been helping each one of us to make it even better, to make this meeting and club an extraordinary one. And with this, I pass on the word to our Toastmaster of the meeting, who has been doing a great job leading this and giving us the significance of the theme of today in a very brilliant way. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you, General Evaluator, Fabiola. I think now the poll is on your screen to vote for the best effort evaluator. I think the poll is closed and we are at the fag end of our meeting today. Yeah, so I think I was able to communicate what does fully engaged means. It is actually an opportunity to improve oneself within. It also helps on a professional front as well as on a personal front, because it will constantly increase you to become a more connected observer. And when you are more aware of yourself within your thoughts, you will find yourself more actively conscious during your day and be more productive, more empowered with the privilege of choice. Thank you. With this, I end my role of Toastmaster of the day and would wait for the feedback and comments from our guests and participants. Thank you. Can we stop the recording?